It was the funeral service that marked the final journey to eternity for the late Chief James Adewi. It was a day when the memory of the good works bequeathed by the 80-year-old father, grandfather, and great-grandfather was the centerpiece of activities. It was also a moment when new memories were created for his family, friends, children, and well-wishers who attended in great numbers. The hometown Anglican Church of St. Matthew's at Jibode, Ibadan, which played host to the day's event, couldn't have been more alive. It was also here that his Christian zeal at ending the ordination has been Baba Ewe, the father of children. The retired Bishop of Omuaran Diocese, the Right Reverend Fola-Adeyemo, who delivered the goodwill message, described the late Chief Adewi as a devout Christian who also dedicated his time to serving humanity.
Baba Aduroja used his life to serve God. He used his life to help others. He used his life to honor God with his properties. St. Jude's Anglican Church, Osere, started from his house. The man had full endurance, perseverance, and the man was interested in the progress of the church, and he did not allow anybody to destroy the church.
A thanksgiving to appreciate God for a life well spent by the bereaved family was also held during the service. To the entire family, it was a moment for them to be joyful because the deceased had lived a life worthy of emulation.
My father is a loving father. He loved his children and he loved his wife. He's a religious man. He loved Jesus. He served God. He's the Baba Ewe of this church. So my father is, I just don't know how to describe him. He's a loving father.
I think it's the best that I can ever desire if I have the opportunity again to choose. Because actually I was very, very young when my mom was not with us. And I'm talking very, very young, at least 3 years old. And I remember my dad was the one that took care of me.
My late grandfather is a very, how am I going to put it? He's a very disciplinarian. He doesn't take nonsense. And those are the things he tried to inculcate in us. Those are the things he tried to put in us so that we can be a good representative of Chief J.A. Fola-Adeyemo anywhere in the world.
As his remains were conveyed for interment, feelings were mixed. But the one sure thing was that the beloved patriarch had departed and would be lowered permanently. Neither tears nor joy could change the fact. This was his final journey home.
A gloomy, sad mood. One can sense it at the burial service of the late Pa Aduroja, father, husband, and friend. Although he passed on at the ripe age of 71, it was not a time those who knew him at close quarters were ready to lose his love, warmth, and affection. Starting with the singing of hymns, the service of songs at the Methodist Church of Nigeria was attended by the family, friends, and well-wishers of the Aduroja family, turning out in good numbers. Daughter and wife, side by side, recall memories of time spent with their father and husband. The preacher describes Pa Aduroja as a person with a good personality.
Let me specially register my sincere condolence to the family of Baba Aduroja. One thing that is very outstanding of this man lying here is that he was so humble to a fault. Imagine Baba coming to my office, will want to bow to greet me. And I always feel very embarrassed. I will always, whenever he opens the door of my office, I will get up from my seat and rush to him so that I don't allow him to bow to greet me.
A moment of reflection and thinking. People ponder on life and how fickle it is. As the preacher continues, he enjoins his listeners to be emulators and doers of only that which is good.
Each time I see him, I don't fail to smile or laugh. Even if you are not happy, by the time Bishop Ohu comes to you, or by the time you cross his path, you must smile by force. He is such a humorous man, and I'm glad that I personally come to know him.
Then comes the prayer for the late Pa Aduroja. And now for his widow.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ wá ti wulẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ pẹ́ láyé tó ẹ̀mí mọ̀sàrẹ́ àwọn ọmọ orí ọ̀fẹ́ ọlọ́run kó máa bá yín gbé ọwọ́ agbára ọlọ́run kó dì yín mú ẹ̀mí egun kẹ́yìn ẹran o ẹ̀ ò ní lọ àkísà kẹ́yìn aṣọ ẹ̀ ò ní bá wọn la eré kán yìí lé bàtí ó dára fún ìbò ní gbogbo mọ́ yín ìgbẹ̀yìn ayé adájọ́ òwúrọ̀ yín lọ lọ́jọ́ ológo ẹ̀wọ̀ ló wà jọba kó lọ akókò sí fún yín kó pa yín mọ́ kó ṣojú àná rẹ̀ kó mọ́lẹ̀ sí lára kó lọ akó fún yín lálàáfíà ó tàn mọ́lẹ̀ sínú òkùnkùn ayé fún yín kẹ́ má ṣe oúnjẹ jẹ kẹ́ má ṣe omi mu kẹ́ má ṣe lẹ̀tẹ̀ odò ayé ò ní gbé yín lọ ẹṣin ayé yín ò ní dá lẹ́sẹ̀ ẹ ò ní lọ sódò láì pọn mi ìbùkún ọlọ́run kó máa bá yín gbé lónìí àti láéláé ẹ máa lọ lálàáfíà lálàáfíà ọlọ́run kó wà pẹ̀lú yín. God bless you.
His children step forward for the offering. His fellow workers in the Methodist also spoke glowingly of their departed colleague.
I came in contact with this fine man, Pa Aduroja, some 5 years ago. And he has really taught me some things that I didn't know. One of the things he taught me was how to be humble. For me, I learned a lot. Pa Aduroja was an encyclopedia of accounting processes. In fact, he was the secretary to the innovation that we have in the headquarters of our church, Methodist Church Nigeria. He has been able to put a steady flow in our financial income in the church. He was so down to earth. Nobody among the 80 dioceses that we have in the conference area of Methodist Church Nigeria, no one diocese could contest with him or could fault him. He was down to earth.
Late brother Aduroja was an example of a practical Christian. He was committed, dedicated to God and to humanity. He was a man every servant of God will want to work with. He stands for the truth. We will all miss him greatly. And I know that his family and everyone that he has had contact with will miss him.
Late Joshua Aduroja, I want to say was embodiment of love, humility, and trustworthy. Very active when he was in the church. As a church member, he's ready to use anything God endowed him with to help the Church of God.
We move to his burial site at the Methodist Church Cemetery, where Baba Aduroja will finally be laid to rest. Though a painful exit to his loved ones, they gather to celebrate his life, appreciating time spent with him. So the party begins, with guests treated to delicious food and drinks. His wife has this to say about him.
I thank God for his life because today is the funeral ceremony. So I thank God for his life. He has lived a Christian life. He has lived a very good life. He has lived a fulfilled life. He served God throughout his lifetime. When he was alive, as a good Christian, he laid very good example, both to his children, to me, the wife. He so much loved us when he was alive. He was a responsible man, both at home, at his place of work, and at the Church of God.
The late Pa Joshua Aduroja, who died at 71 years, was described as a man of reputable influence, who lived a life worthy of emulation.
Today we are celebrating the life and times of Daddy, a hardworking gentleman, an indefatigable, selfless, and down here to the core. When he was in Union Bank, he was very hardworking. Having retired, he went to work with Methodist Church, and today we are giving God the glory for a very fulfilled life and appreciating God that his desires, his legacies, and what he stood for will not diminish.
And he remains a loving, wonderful father to the family. He was a man of many hands, a friend, he was a generous. He's a man that is humble to he lived a life of contentment. He really took care of us. He gave us the best legacy every parent should have given their child, which is education. He did so much for us. He's not a proud man. He has a good sense of humor. I just pray. My prayer is that the Almighty will grant him eternal rest. I miss his caring nature, the way he talks. I miss everything about him. Everything.
Pa Joshua Konji Aduroja will be missed, but his legacy lives on.